Welcome to Invisible Me, a podcast centred around invisible health issues and the feeling of not being seen and heard. Yet here I am, standing right in front of you. Does this sound familiar? Well, come join the conversation. Share your experiences. Let's break down those norms and attitudes for the better. This is a safe space to chat with me, Pat. Welcome, Tash, to my podcast. Thank you for being a guest. Much appreciated. Invisible Me. It's all about invisible health, invisible illnesses, and just feeling invisible in the world on different occasions and how that affects people emotionally. And, well, it can manifest physically. So welcome. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I am absolutely delighted to be invited to talk to you, Pat, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity. So thank you very much.
Right back at you. I wasn't aware, because I've met you and spoken to you before, and I wasn't aware about your life story until we've had that conversation one day. So hence here we are. Could you tell me a little bit about the history or the backstory? What's got you to your amazing business and life you're leading today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the hidden disability that I have is that I suffer from full body arthritis following a major road traffic accident when I was run over about 18 years ago. And this was a big changing point in my life.
For sure.
Although I can walk now, I've had many years learning to walk again, and now live with a long-term health condition, which means that I suffer with arthritis, and I can't cook without sitting down. I can't wash properly without I can't get in a bath or anything like that, and I need continual support for assisted living. But I've tried really hard to push against that all of my working life. And it's been a big life-changing time for me, and a lot of lessons have been learned along the way, as you can imagine. But I think at the moment I'm going through a transition of managing pain, which is a story in itself, I think. And I'm very lucky in the job that I do that does not, that I can still work, which is a wonderful thing.
Thank you for telling me that, because that's a massive thing to tell and share openly.
That's okay.
Appreciate it. And I'm sorry that happened to you. That's just crap.
It is.
And it happens in an instant and your life's transformed. And
yes,
there's no control. No control over that.
No, absolutely.
How's family? Because one life's not just affected.
No, it's true. So I guess before the accident, I was quite, newly married, 16 weeks married, amazing, to a really nice guy who has supported me all the way along the way. I am so lucky with my husband, Mark. He encouraged me that I should leave work and go out and set out as a self-employed person.
Good
so
man.
On the night that I left work and sort of said, come on, be my champion, I walked out of my full-time employment, and that was the moment that I was hit by a car. So
oh my God.
At the moment, I know, absolutely. So our lives changed in an instant, and for a few months it was a really difficult journey because I was in intensive care and my family supported me massively, and without their support, I wouldn't have been able to recover like I did. But I had to learn to walk again. Had multiple injuries, and also emotional issues as well.
Enormously.
And well-being issues, huge. But I have been so lucky because my family and Mark's family have supported me right through that.
Sure.
Mark's been by my side all along. I mean, he's a self-employed man. We were living very much hand to mouth when I'd lost my job. I was not working or earning any money or insured or anything to cover me over that period. And he was self-employed building and plumbing, and it was just a nightmare. So we have been through a lot together.
Sure.
But he's always been by my side, and I'm massively grateful for that. And what he's done for me since is, helped me. It gives me a life of assisted living, which means that I can work and I can, do that. And I have an amazing daughter who is now 17, and she also supports me, helps me put my shoes on, my socks on, does all the dog walking, all the good things. So I'm super lucky. I really am.
Well, definitely married the right man. So 16 weeks in, you definitely got the right guy.
Yeah, I know, it's a massive thing. It's a massive thing, isn't it? It's an absolutely massive thing, but I'm so lucky.
You see, on the back of that, from my own experience of living with an invisible disability of fibromyalgia, sometimes the family, they get it and they understand it, but they soon switch off, they zone out, because you're always talking about hurting, or you can't do something, or each month, each year, something lessens and you can't do things.
It grows,
And yet they love us, but at the same time, we stop talking about our health because we know they're fed up listening to it, even though they haven't voiced that. So it's very hard. So there is that other, even though your health and your disability is visual, but there's so many other elements that's invisible, or we make them invisible because we're protecting those loved ones around us. And
I completely agree with that.
Resilience to keep going, because we're stubborn people, because we don't want to sit down and give in to what's happened.
Yeah, that's true. I think don't you think there's a massive part of you that, well, there is a huge part of me that does not want to be this person.
For sure.
This is not who I was.
No.
This is not what I was ever meant to be. And I've changed quite a lot over this process, emotionally, physically. And it's been a hard lesson for me to learn myself, that I can, acceptance that these are the things that's going to happen, and I can't do a lot about it. Some things I can change, but a lot I can't. And I think I did do a lot of CBT and things like that before. A lot of talking therapy around it at the beginning of my journey, and I think that was a game changer for me.
Oh, good.
Because it helped me to understand myself, but also it allowed me to have those conversations with Mark and with my family.
Great.
To give them an opportunity to also, voice how they felt about it and how they want to go on. And I think that's how we've built our relationship since then, and how I manage it now, I think. But acceptance is a huge part of this. Like, I just didn't want to be disabled. I just don't want to be disabled.
Why would anybody? Yeah.
No.
It's nobody's
and
choice.
It's nobody's choice. But I've kind of learned that the fear of it needs to be taken away, and the fear of being judged, and the fear of being looked at, and the fear of judging myself. I judge myself like, I'm a nuisance. I don't want to be a pain,
I'm a burden, all those things.
I'm a boss. But the biggest lesson is honesty, and just say, I need help. Could you help me put my socks on? Could I ask you to carry the shopping in? And once people realise that they can help and that you'd like them to help, it's made a huge difference. I was so long struggling and pretending I was fine and going through it. I was actually making my days worse, and they were watching me make my days worse. And actually, I just turned it around, and now I just say, could you just give me a hand with this? And everybody does across the board. My team here, the people I work with, the amazing friends I have, it's a massive network of support that are around me that keep me able to be me.
Yes. That's the key word. Keeps me to be me. That's the key thing to survive and keep going and getting up every day. Because you haven't changed your soul, your essence, your values, your beliefs, who makes you is always there, and that's not going to change.
No.
But the impact of pain and this is partly why the podcast is created, is to share with listeners about living with pain.
Yes.
And that does affect you, and it will make you grumpy. It will make you tired. It makes me angry. And people laugh at me saying, Pat, why are you angry? I says, I'm angry with my illness. And they say, oh, can't you go to doctors? Can't you do this? And I'm going, I've tried everything. The anger is, it's taking stuff away from me. It's taking quality of life away. So I'm angry at the illness, but it's not a bitter anger. It's a healthy anger, because it's the anger that drives me. It makes me focus. It makes me keep going. I won't give in to it. So the anger powers me. But everybody's so different.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I had to absolutely remove anger from my life. I just from the moment I was run over, I just thought, I'm not going to put myself through this anymore. I can't sit here going, poor me, poor me, poor me. I need to be action focused. I need to not drag my family down this path of they have to look after me always. I can look after myself.
Yes.
I'm a strong, independent woman. I run my own business, and I want them to only see that. And I actually don't want to be judged by and defined by one accident in my life is going to change my life.
Defined.
I won't be defined by it.
That's the word, defined by others.
Yeah. And I'm defined by that, and I'm defined not by the lack of my physical ability. I'm defined by the person that I am and how I approach my life. And and there's a lot of areas in my life that I've adapted to make sure that is the case. So I think what I've done is reframe rather than, sit back and be cross about it.
Yeah.
Because I could be cross. Yeah, I could be cross about it. I could be really cross about it, but it will never change it. But what I can do is completely reframe it. I think, okay, well, what can I do differently? How can I make this better? And that's why my whole life is an adapted life.
That's amazing.
Because then I can live.
Yeah.
That's how I can live, And it's not until you review that you know that.
I will take that on board. I have learned something from you. No, you've taught me something right now. Pat. And I want others listening to take away what I'm taking away from it. I say my anger drives me, but maybe it's unhealthy for me too. I don't know. It might be... It might be manifesting in another way. And how you said you've reframed your life and you're not letting it define you, and you're continuing the life that you want to lead regardless. So thank you. I'm taking on board what you've just said. Thank you for that.
Well, I think we all have our challenges, and we all, everybody will deal with it differently, and Mark will deal with his differently, and my team will, and my daughter will, and we're not all the same, and I wouldn't want everybody to be that way.
Sure.
But I think we can't. I personally, my choice has been that this cannot define me. However, I am the worst person in the world for admitting that I can't do something. Terrible. Well, absolutely terrible.
We're very independent when something's taken from us. Our independence and our strength is enhanced. And we self-persecute, of course, silently and all of that. And our inner critics there all the time. However, you're awesome. You're commendable. You're a powerful role model. I can't think of enough adjectives to say how inspirational you are. And I think we'll have many conversations and many little episodes. Can I go on another spin on this, if that's okay?
Of course.
I want to talk about the invisible stuff. There is times when daily life, we're out shopping, we're having a Sunday drive out, we're going for a meal, or just life activities. And it's how the other people see you. And it's not said, it's judgment with eyes and body language, and it's that invisible behaviours, but how massively it can affect us. And I know it's happened. How are you coping with that? Or what do you do? Or do you cope with that? Or
I have struggled with this. And I have to put, again, another positive spin on it, but I have struggled with it, and I do struggle with it.
For sure.
Because my disability is hidden. I walk with a stick, but not always, and you wouldn't always know that I live in constant pain. But you do get hidden looks. Like a couple of really good examples are things like going to the beach.
Okay,
Okay, so
yes.
I can't get onto the beach alone, and I cannot possibly sit on the floor. So I can't sit on a mat or anything like that. So I have to have a chair. And once I'm in the chair, I can't get out of the chair without help, and I can't go in the sea without help. So there's all these kind of things. But like fundamentally, you wouldn't know if I was just sitting there.
Sure.
And you can watch people, especially when my daughter was small, and like my husband be running around after her like a mad thing, trying to not to eat sand or not run into the
Yeah.
sea.
Yeah.
And I would be sat there like a lazy person who doesn't do anything and doesn't move, and people would be looking, going, "Oh, look at that terrible mother. She doesn't do
Yeah.
anything, you know." So, and like we went to a music concert once in the park, Hyde Park or something, and all day Mark was rushing off to get me some food or the drinks and all of that, and I was sat there and I could hear people behind me talking about that lazy woman,
Oh
look at that
no.
awful lazy cow that people have been they're all just, she's just sat there all day and he's gone and done
Thing
everything.
for her.
Yeah, and it is that, and the same with like I've got a blue badge and I park it at Tesco's or whatever to do whatever shop I'm at to park into my disability car parking space. But because I am younger than some of the
Sure.
people that are in there, they look at me and go, "Should she be parking here?" And I get out the car and I struggle a bit, but you wouldn't always know. And it's difficult, and people do judge you. They look at you and go, "Oh,
They do.
what
We're
what what
we're the
what, what do
worst.
they think?" Yeah, yeah,
People are the best and people are the worst in the same breath. I can
yeah.
say that because we wouldn't first impressions and don't judge a book by its cover and all those cliches, but we do as humans. We do.
We
We just
do,
do.
and I think since I've been in this position, I hope that I like the people that I come into contact with, and I hope that even just listening to this podcast, people are going to realise that actually we don't all see it.
No.
And the biggest, most important thing is that because my daughter and her friends and my close family have lived with me being like this, they also have a knowledge and understanding of how it can be for other people, which I think is great. And that, don't ever be afraid to ask for help, because I struggled to go to Glastonbury Music Festival thinking I could get there and do it.
Okay.
And I ruined my one opportunity to be there because I didn't admit that I needed a mobility scooter to get around.
Okay.
So I ridiculously forced my husband to carry stuff and walk, and I couldn't even get past one field. And it was a complete disaster. And by the time I went back to get a mobility scooter, they'd gone.
Right.
So that's a little example of like how I was being stubborn and not allowing myself the opportunity for freedom.
Yes.
So now I consider all my mobility aids, all my useful stuff, is my freedom.
Completely.
It's my freedom. If I have to stick my stick, it means I can stand there for longer. If I have my chair, it means I can be there. If I have a mobility scooter, it means I can go there. And if I have my blue badge, I can park near the shops and go. So like for me, these are massive like aids to my life. And I've got this brilliant one which helps me put on my socks, which is a game changer. A game changer. And it cost about £3 and it's brilliant. And I'm like, oh, my life's transformed. I can put my own socks on.
But it is the small things. It's all the small things that you don't realise, but we take for granted. Even like unscrewing the top of a bottle, using a gear stick in a car, all the small things, and like dressing ourselves. These are the things that matter and will grind you down. So
they do grind you down. So that's why when you have a breakthrough, but I don't think of them as tools that make me disabled. I think them as tools to assist my life now.
That enable you. We'll spin it the other way. I'm learning to spin. I'm reframing. Thank you, Tash, for that.
Yes, good. I like the reframing.
Brilliant. You've kind of answered what I wanted to lead into, and it was just if you could, for the listeners, give one piece of advice, and we have already said reframing and turning things around, but the asking, I don't ask enough. It's taken, I'm 17 years now so we're similar length of time suffering. 17 years with mine, and last week, I will share live, I just got told by the musculoskeletal clinic that I too have arthritis all through my body, literally from the neck down. It's in my spine, it's in my shoulders, it's everywhere at the minute. So I'm like, I almost cried because I thought, what else can I have?
I'm sorry, Pat.
But no, it's kind of okay, because then I go, I'm up, I'm functioning, I'm striving, I'm getting on in life. So that didn't make me angry. That made me sad for a change. But I've had a week to think about it and go, okay, well, can't fix it, so there's nothing I can do. But keep going. There isn't anything. There is. So I need to ask.
We can help you.
I'm going to do the asking.
Ask
for help
and accept the help. Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, I started my business from my bed, as you know.
This is an awesome story. This is another podcast episode to talk about the business from the bed.
Yeah, so I started my business from bed because I was disabled and we needed money and I needed to work. So I did that. So I had to ask for help. Okay, I had to ask, and for me that is the biggest thing. And so I then built a team of, like, I've got wonderful freelancers that I work with, and they support my business, and they have done throughout my recovery, throughout my child being born, flexible working conditions, working from home, all of those things assist my life to run it well. And I learned that by speaking up and knowing my value, I'm not being defined by this. Like, this disability is not who I am, and I'm a creative, exciting, lovely person, and I'm going to be that exciting, creative person for as long as I can be.
You're doing it. You're doing it.
We're smashing it, Pat. And that's what it's about. So I think know your value and speak up. That would be my thing. And reframe, guys, reframe. Whatever's happened to you, what will we learn from this? This does not define you. You are who you are, and be brilliant at what you're good at. That's where I am.
Thank you so much. Thank you for giving up your valuable time, your insights, and I've taken away so many key things, and I'm learning from you. And can I invite you back for a follow-up to talk some more?
I would
and
love
maybe
it.
Answer some questions that viewers will have sent in. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I would absolutely love it. Thank you, Pat. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about my good and my bad days, but also to highlight that, hidden disability is there. And thank you for letting me have that opportunity to speak. It's been lovely.
Brilliant. We'll talk to you again soon. Thank you. Bye for now, Tash.
Bye.